I am Chris Bugaj, and I work at, my background is also speech pathology, but I've been working on the assistive technology team in Loudoun County Public Schools for over 10 years now. So I have about 12 schools that I'm responsible for, and I provide the assistive technology services and as part of the team for the entire county. The way it works down in Virginia, I'm not sure how it is here in Indiana, because I know it's different in New York and different places. For us in Virginia, we have a county-wide school district. So we have over 80 schools that we're responsible for. So I'm one of the team members for a larger team. We have about 12 people on our team. How does it work here in Indy?
You guys townships, or is that districts, townships? Okay.
It's different. So you might have some counties or some individual townships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maryland and Virginia are both county-based systems. So we work. And we're both in two fairly large suburban
districts.
Beth,
before we go any farther, I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer.
We give you good
we give
things
you prizes.
when you participate.
All right, is it Deb?
Yes.
Deb, okay, the first thing. Do you see those 2 glasses of water over there?
No.
There's this glass of water, and then there's this one. Your job, Deb, for the next 2 hours and so, is to make sure that I do not take a drink out of that glass of water. Okay? I'm going to put it over here, but you'll see, I'm going to move it all around. And that's Beth's, and that's mine. I do not want her cooties. Okay? She doesn't want mine.
All right. Thank
also,
you.
Beth, before we really get started, in case you don't see anything else here you like, we thought we'd start out right away, before we get into the theory or anything, with a strategy that you could pick up and you could tell your teachers or you could use tomorrow. And that is right here on our screen. Notice the presentation is called UDL 2.0. And we flew in on Southwest yesterday. They have in Sky Mall, I saw it, these things that you can buy, these framed,
right,
these framed pictures. Have you seen these?
Where it's all the funky, photographed numbers and letters that you can get and you can put together your,
We're going to take 2 minutes now to show you, and you can follow along on your computers if you'd like, by going to this website, metaatem.net. Notice it's a palindrome, metaatem.net/words. It's a cool tool where you can, it's called Spell with Flickr. So I need a vocabulary word or a spelling word that I don't know, a student might use. Go ahead, give me a word. For a prize, throw out a word.
We give you things when you help us out. Technology. Okay.
Technology. Ryan says technology. Deb, thank you for watching my water.
All right, so I type in technology and I click on spell.
Ta-da! So, and check it out. Look, I don't know, Beth. The L is really hard to see because of the. Did you change that? If you just click right on the L, it should pick up a different L.
There we go.
So if you don't like it. Cool? Real simple strategy. Now let's brainstorm. Why did we just spend 5 minutes showing you this tool? How could it be used with students in classrooms?
We'll give you a calendar.
Kathleen? Just as a simple engagement tool, right? How much more fun is it to, I can handwrite the word technology, or I could type it in here, right? Okay, what else? What kind of activity would you use it for? A lesson on what? Something every second grader does every day. Exactly. Exactly. Say that again?
Spelling.
Spelling, right? How many kids take spelling tests or practice? What's that? How is it going to help you with spelling?
No, I said it might help me just by visual.
What do you mean?
Right.
Visually remember it. They get a picture of the word. Yeah.
Exactly, right? They can picture it in their head. So when it comes time to take the spelling test, or better yet, when it comes time to use that word in context when they're writing sentences and paragraphs, how do I spell that word technology? Is it T-E-K? No, there was that C in the circle.
Yeah, I remember that really cool C there.
As a technology skill, what we like to show teachers too is that, notice when we showed UDL 2.0, it didn't have the entire website, right? It was just this picture, right? How do I get that picture? Yeah, how do I copy this out? How do I cut it out? It's a very, what's that? Highlight it and right-click. That's what I would try first. Now, Beth is using a Mac. You might have something different. Windows 7 has something called the snippet tool. But a very, very, very easy thing on your computers that you probably see every day and didn't know what it used is the print screen button, right? Most teachers, when we show that to them, they're like, oh, that's what that button does. If you hit print screen, and then you go to like Word or something like that, and you hit paste, it will take it's an entire picture of your desktop. I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding like people know that. That's good. Many teachers do not know that. But see,
Yeah, I did.
Did you try it?
Well, I was typing, so
Okay.
So when you print screen, you may have to, it's going to capture the whole screen, so you're going to have to crop stuff out. But if you have the snipping tool, or if you have a Mac, and you do the Command Control Shift 4, then it'll let you capture exactly what you want. So I can just take that, and I've got it, and I've got it as a great little image there that I can pop into any.
Now, why
real
show
document.
that? Why do we spend time showing you that? Yeah, it's okay. It's cool for teachers because they can save stuff, but it's not just for teachers.
We use it to show like step-by-step processes. So like doing a cooking section in a life skill program, you do step-by-step to take pictures of what you're doing.
Like you see in,
Rules kind of stuff.
Right.
I use it in
Love it.
reports, if when I'm doing evaluation, to put a picture of what the child's device screen might look like, or if you're comparing so many devices, what they look like next to each other, just put it in handy picture.
I love it, right. I see students using it for any of those websites where there's some sort of game, right? Let's say they're practicing typing, and at the end they wanted to see how words per minute or something, and they can use a screenshot to then show what happens. And the other way, seen teachers use it, not necessarily students, but teachers use it, is when you get that error message, that error message you got to tell the technology guys about. That thing came up. I don't know. It's got all these weird numbers. I don't know. Take a screenshot. This is exactly the error message I got.
Okay, so we want to make sure that if you want to get access to our handout, which is a Google Doc, we're going to talk more about Google Docs. You can get it from this URL. If you have a smartphone with a QR code program on it, you can just use your QR code program on your smartphone, and it'll pull up our presentation right on that with that QR code there.
Let's talk about this for a second. What's the strategy on here? Obviously the QR code, right? You've seen QR codes before, these? They've become more commonplace now.
Yeah.
People have seen these.
I know Daniel, I know PATINS uses them a lot. They've got it all over there.
But you know what
Their
else PATINS
materials.
uses? Beth, you know what else PATINS uses?
What does PATIN use?
bit.ly.
Yes, they do.
So bit.ly is a URL shortener. The thing is, I don't really like the term shortener because I don't really care how short it is. I care how memorable it is. When I go back in a week and I thought, what was that? I needed I need that website again. You know, that one Chris and Beth did. I can remember that my shortener was always going to start bit.ly, and then it's PATINS UDL1. I didn't look at that. I haven't typed it, but I remember it, right? Same thing with the little cards that were passed out this morning at breakfast. Everyone got these little cards. I had one.
So you can see us and
Bring it
live
right up to the camera.
on TV. Got it.
And it has, so PATINS uses the two, right? Again, not necessarily a shortened URL, could be, but more memorable URL. And so we use that as a strategy with teachers and with students as well. So when someone's taking biology 101, let's say, whatever, the teachers will say, okay, every URL I'm going to have in my class is going to start with bit.ly, biology, or Mrs. Poss biology class. It's going to start that way, and then it's going to be their lesson on cells. So Poss biology cells. You know? So the students get into this branding of, okay, this is how the class rolls. I always have the same URL at the beginning, and I can find the same, and it works as great administrators for professional development purposes as well. You'll see on this that many of you will walk away with today. This is our strategy a day calendar that our county does, and we put a bit.ly on every single page, and teachers get used to going to that same website over and over again.
So we haven't even gotten started, and we've already shown you 3 or 4 different tools that we hope that you guys are going to be able to use and take away and walk out of here. Before we get into a little bit of the meat about what UDL is, including what those letters stand for, we wanted to do a little assessment to find out where folks are. And if you guys could go on your computers to this URL, so it's the bit.ly/UDL knowledge.
One thing to know about bit.ly as you're typing it in here is that bit.ly is also a QR code generator. It'll create QR codes when you put a long URL and shrink it down. And also, the capitalization counts. So if you put a capital UDL knowledge, it won't work.
I'll bring that back for you
Capitalization
guys.
counts. bit.ly/UDL knowledge. What happens when you click on it, Beth?
So when I click on it, you guys are going to see a little survey, just one question, asking you to, on the Likert scale from 1 to 3, are you an expert? You could teach others about UDL, or I don't know much and that's why I'm here. And there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. And then you just click one of, whether it's you're an expert, you don't know much, or you're somewhere in between. Click submit. And then I'm going to pop over to, so again, this is another Google Doc. It's actually, essentially it's a spreadsheet.
Anyone there yet? Answering?
And see if we get our,
It should be live.
I know, I'm not sure why we're not coming up with our, it's always
Jesus.
good when our,
Well, let's
we're going to
use,
pretend that we saw
let's
this.
use low tech.
Yeah, no, I did, and I'm wondering if when I took out our responses from the last time we did this, if I screwed something up yesterday.
That's right. Let's go low tech. Everyone,
Okay.
close your eyes. Close your eyes. Keep them closed. Beth, stop making faces at everybody. Okay, now raise up a hand and tell us 1, 2, or 3. 1 means you can come up here and tell people what UDL is. 2, I heard about it. 3, what's UDL?
Yeah, it's not coming up in my.
This looks like mostly 2s and 3s, Beth.
All right, so
low tech works every time.
So low tech works every time, and I apologize. I think when I went out and took out our data from a previous time that we used this, and I must have screwed something up, so I'll have to redo my. But nice way to do a simple survey and be able to pull that in. So well, we're glad you're here. We figure then we can go.
2s and 3s mean
2s and 3s, we can go pretty quickly through our next few slides, which is good because then we'll have more time for the rest of the stuff. But we want to make sure everybody's got some basic background so we're all on a common page about what universal design for learning is. So hoping that everybody is familiar with the idea that it's the practice of embedding flexible material into curriculum. And it's the idea that it's in the planning process so that everybody can access a variety of learning solutions, not just kids with accommodations on their IEP, not just a certain population or those who are eligible for Bookshare or AIM. So it's the idea that strategies are front-loaded instead of retrofitting. So we're putting things in to start. We're making an assumption across the board that kids learn differently and not that everybody learns the same way. And the idea is that in the long run, while it may take a little bit more planning at the very beginning, in the long run, it's much more efficient because you're not stopping what you're doing in the middle and running and figuring out that because Sammy is really struggling with this above grade level text for his research project that you probably need to go and find some other strategies. If you had tools in place for digital text, you'd be able to have supported him from the beginning. It benefits more students, not just my kids with accommodations that by law I need to provide supports to, but my English language learners, my kids that are just sort of on the cusp of where they're at with their learning. Students who are highly gifted and need things presented in more engaging ways in order for them to stay on task. And it's more acceptable to students, the strategies that you're using, because it's not like, oh, come over here, Deb. It's time for you to go and work on the computer because we have that on your IEP, so I need you to come over here and use the computer, because Deb would be like, oh my God, I am like so embarrassed. Believe me, my 16-year-old daughter would be. But if everybody's getting the option, all right, who wants to work on the computer today? Who wants to use the iPad? Who wants to, some of your choices are to draw pictures instead of doing this, then everybody feels they have a choice and they can pick what they prefer based on learner preferences. We can sometimes guide students to picking choices that we know are going to support them, but they're not being singled out for it. So again, it's the idea that we're anticipating needs of all students. We're not going to be able to anticipate every single minutia of assistive technology that a student may need, and it's not that it takes away the need for assistive technologies, but it really allows us to plan up front and have the resources in place for those kids who need those technology tools. CAST website has some great resources on it, but one of the big things to remember, and that's a part of that, is that there's 3 different parts of universal design, principles of universal design that we look at. Representation, how things are presented. Expression, so how students tell you what they know, how they let you know that they've got it, okay? And engagement, so how are we getting kids in it? If we're all teaching with the end in mind, which is the idea of what we're supposed to do, you know where you want kids to be at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year. And we're looking at how can I present things in the best way so that the most kids can get the most out of it? What are the different ways that kids can let me know that they have got it so that I can either reteach or I can move on? And how can I keep kids engaged so that we can get where we need to be? So, little quote by Albert Einstein that goes well with this image. Everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So we can't judge kids by what they can't do. Instead, we want to judge everybody by what they can do. We want to examine them for what they can do. And again, we want to get to the end result. It doesn't matter how kids get there. So just a little Wordle. People familiar with Wordles? Anybody used Wordles before? So Wordle.net is a great website where you can type in text. We put in some information on universal design for learning from the CAST website. And what stands out to you guys in this world that you see, which I probably should have flipped around, but it's all right.
I like it on its side.
I know. There's some kids that this is like going to be the better way for them.
Right, because it looks different.
Yeah. Okay. What stands out? What words stand out for you? Provide options. Yep. Okay. Support. Examples. I see multiple.
When Beth first showed me this image, when she took this and put it in here, and the provide options really stood out, it was a big key moment for myself where I was like, yeah, that's what you get. Because who do we have in the room, Beth? Speech pathologists and people in special education. And who is this message really meant for? General ed, right? So you have to evangelize, right? And how do you evangelize? How do you go out there and spread the word about UDL? Some of you know about it. Is this 2-word phrase, provide options, provide options. The days of here's the worksheet, and we're going to pass them out, and everyone has to do the exact same worksheet are over, right? Or should be over, because we need to provide options. And this is the key phrase, I think, that you can get general ed teachers behind. Okay, that's the message you're trying to say, is I have to provide options. It's not just pass out the same thing and everyone does the same thing. Okay.
And the cool thing about Wordle, it's Wordle.net, takes you, if you go into Wordle, you paste in text or type in text, and it has a formula where it pulls out the words that have the highest frequency, and when you create your Wordle, those are the words that are the largest. So in this extended piece, in this extended few paragraph document, those were the words that were repeated most frequently. So you can take any words and put them in. You can actually also go in and type, and if you wanted something to come up as large, you could put that word in multiple times, so if you were trying to tweak it. But a great way for kids to be able to look at information. So if I wanted to take Martin Luther King's speech and put it in, I would be able to copy and paste that in, and I could really get to key ideas that students might need to see, the same way that we got to key ideas about what universal design for learning is. So any text that I can get digitally, I can copy and paste in. And
Beth, I saw a bunch of head nods when you said Wordle. How have you guys used Wordle? Never heard of it. Okay, great. So word cloud. There's lots of other ones as well, but Wordle is probably one of the most popular ones. But
teachers have used it for adjectives when the kids have to describe something to type all those in, and then I've used it just in presentations as a slide.
gotcha. So adjectives. So when they take their block of text that they've written and they pop it in here, like, look, you've got very 1,000 times. Very's huge.
Like a writing prompt, and then they have to, what are the words that describe this picture?
Ah,
And
okay.
they type those in, and they get a word cloud of the words that describe it.
Of all the words that match this picture. Gotcha. So it would be like a picture of like Abraham Lincoln, and then it's like a study guide you could make too as well. Cool.
No, I'm missing my plug. I've got a plug missing. Okay, so we won't worry about that right now. But again, as simple as being able to go in, copy text, and just being able to put it in. So you can see here let's just do that. Somebody did the U.S. Constitution, and it's not showing it on my new Mac, which I haven't. So we'll just look at that right there, where you can see words that really come out. Just a really cool visual way to pull out key ideas, important details. Is Indiana implementing the Common Core? Are you guys a Common Core state? Okay, so over and over and over again in the English language standards is key ideas and details, from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. So what a great way, what a great strategy to be able to use to help kids pull out the key ideas and details in text.
Unfortunately, Virginia is not. So you have all these states that are going to be building up resources and be able to collaborate in Virginia. Of course, we're still going to use those resources, but
hopefully they'll align with your
yeah,
SOL,
I'm
your
sure they will.
standards of learning.
Yes, Virginia calls theirs the standards of learning, SOLs.
So we have a great video that we would love to show you, but should we move on and do tools? We're going to let you come to this on your own. Since many of you are in situations where you're going out and providing training and support and resources to others, we would really encourage you to use this particular video that we have here. It's a great, succinct, entertaining, engaging video on UDL that stars him. And it's a wonderful tool for you to be able to share with others, to share with teachers, parents, even kids, to be able to learn about UDL and the power behind it. But we are going to move on to some more of our tools. So the next piece of if you noticed, our session wasn't called UDL. It was UDL 2.0. Because if everybody's heard of Web 2.0, okay? So Web 2.0 is the new web, the new improved web, the better web. Well, it's really the same web. By the way, it's really the same Web 2.0. It's not a different web. It's the same web. It's the same internet that you've always used. It's just a term that was coined by Tim O'Reilly about 2005, where it was really emphasizing the power that the internet has to create a two-way street where people are both readers, where you go out and you get on the internet and you Google things and you search and you find stuff. So you're a reader, you're a consumer, but that you're also a writer or a producer. So if I go onto Wordle and I create a Wordle in there and it gets left in there just like we saw Jeff's on the Constitution, I have not only gone on and found information, but I have left information for others to engage in as well. And so It's that collaboration. And so the tools that we're going to show you today are all tools where you can not only be a consumer of the information and a user of that tool, but you can be a producer, and your students can be producers of that information, where we create this shared collaboration using the internet. And what we're going to be looking at is how the tools that we can use have UDL features. Okay? We talk about the idea, Mark Prensky, in an article in 2001, talked about the idea of digital natives versus digital immigrants. So all of these kids out there that we're working with are what are called digital natives. They have grown up never knowing anything but technology. So when my daughter, who's now 16, was 4 and was playing with a program called KidPix a long time ago, there used to be a tool, and I haven't used KidPix in years.
Me either.
There used to be a tool on KidPix, and it was called the typewriter tool, and that's how you got into being able to type text. And she was down in the basement, and I was upstairs. She's like, Mommy, how do I put my name on my picture? And I said, click on the typewriter tool. And there's this pause. Mommy, what's a typewriter? Okay, so some digital immigrant, somebody that hadn't grown up with this technology as a part of their lifeblood, created KidPix and named a tool in it the typewriter tool for a bunch of digital natives who have no idea what a typewriter is to use.
I still see artifacts like that in different programs, where there'll be like little cassette, like little cassette icons.
Or the save icon. Anybody know what the save icon on every single thing is? What's a save icon?
That's a great example.
It's a 3 1/4 inch floppy disk. Does any individual under the age of 18 have a clue what a floppy disk is? I mean, when was the last time any of us used a floppy disk? Okay, no such thing anymore.
Right.
So, but it's still the save icon.
It should be a cloud.
It should be a cloud. You're right. It should be a cloud. So I'm going to tell Apple that.
Yeah. You hear that, Apple?
I'm sure they did. So the idea that we need to use tools that are going to engage students because they are digital natives.
Now, before we move on, Beth, there are 2 kids in this picture
really
that are
cute
that are
kids.
cute, cuter than the other
Particularly
kids.
cute.
I mean, they're all cute kids, but there are 2 particularly in this slide. And want to take a guess which 2?
Top
Top
right.
right. Yeah, this kid's really cute. It's really cute.
You guys
Yeah,
are so
that's it
smart.
right there.
This is the best audience in the world. So that's Chris's daughter, Maggie, who's
Yep.
a few years older now than that picture. And this is my daughter, Morgan, who's also a few years older now than that picture. She's old enough now that she'd be like, why are you using that picture? That's so embarrassing. It's like if I tag her in something on Facebook, Mommy, don't tag me in anything Facebook. Oh my God, you're going to embarrass me. Like, but I like tagging you. You're such a digital immigrant, Mom. Okay, so what we're talking about today is how universal design for learning meets Web 2.0. So we were looking for multiple means of engagement, multiple means of expression, of action and expression, and multiple means of representation. But we're also looking for things that are Web 2.0, that are user-centered, that provide a means to share information, where there's collaboration. And so it's that idea that it's contributions from anybody. You don't have to be a tech expert. You don't have to know HTML. You just do it. It's the read-write web.
When we were looking for different Web 2.0 tools, we had to come up with some criteria. Okay, so what do we use to decide whether this tool is a good tool or not? And so this is kind of our criteria. And kind of something we look at for all tools, whether it's Web 2.0 or not, is does it adhere to the principles of universal design and universal design for learning? Is it easy to use? That metaatem.net, where you just type in the word technology and all the pictures came up, relatively easy to use, right? I mean, it doesn't. There's one thing you can do on that website. You enter into that area. So we thought that was relatively easy to use. Is it free? Not that all tools have to be free, but free is good, sometimes. And there's some
Right? Administrators out there, free is really good? Okay.
You can use it for free. That's the same in Virginia.
Yeah, same in Maryland too, let me tell you.
And sometimes free comes with a cost where you have to register. Sometimes there's tools like that one we just looked at with like Wordle. You didn't have to register. You could just use the tool. So what is the registration process, and is it cumbersome? And then, is the content appropriate? Are there open sites that are just open to the general public? That's not saying that's necessarily a bad tool, but maybe that's something to consider, versus an EDU site where there's an educational version of the tool.
And with that, looking at privacy controls. So if you have restrictions within your districts on having things be out there on the web, or are there ways to set up privacy settings so that only certain individuals are able to see it? So those are all things we do take into consideration when we're looking at different tools that we're going to be showing you today.
All right, let's talk about collaboration. We have set up a bunch of tools that we're going to look at very soon, and then you're going to get to play with them. But we thought, and we've also outlined some ideas for how each tool would work to help someone represent information in a different way, and how that tool might help for students to express what they know.
We're going on the assumption, because these are, not that every tool is equally engaging to every learner, but that because these Web 2.0 tools are engaging, that we're covering the engagement piece.
Right.
So when we go through, we're not going to say, oh, by the way, this is fun.
Right. And what engages one person might be different than what engages another person. So you will make that determination with each tool as you go. But we wanted you to come up with ideas for how else you could use these tools. So if you were to go to PATINS Google Doc, right? bit.ly, PATINS Google Doc. See the branding thing I was talking about? How it's
getting
everything
easier
starts
and easier.
with bit.ly, PATINS Google Doc.
Okay, so
Got
I'm
it?
going to go ahead and...
bit.ly, PATINS Google Doc. If you go there, you'll be taken to a spreadsheet. And at the bottom of that spreadsheet, you'll see a bunch of tabs. Let me see the head nods. You see them? See those tabs at the bottom of the spreadsheet? See one head nod, two head nods. More head nod? You're getting there.
I'm going to
Yes?
go back. I don't want you to not have that to see.
See, PATINS Google Doc, bit.ly, PATINS Google Doc, all lowercase. And when you go there, got this? I think everyone's got it, Beth.
Okay. Whoops, wrong one.
You'll be
Too many
taken to a
windows
spreadsheet.
open. There we go.
And on this spreadsheet, notice the tabs down at the bottom. These are not, we can't cover them all today. We don't have time to do all the tools down here. And that's why we have a part 2. But as we talk about different tools, we would ask you to click on a tab and just any cell, just leave an idea of how you would use that. So, oh, I would use this word cloud to come up with, Wordle.net to come up with a adjective strategy. And then put your name after it, just like Deb, right? We don't have any people who have the same name in here, right? So when Deb puts an idea down for the first tool, like wall wisher there, see how it says wall? She could type in any cell, and she would just type in wall wisher. I could use that for professional development, Deb. Okay?
Okay, simple, easy. And this is a spreadsheet, and it's...
And we're going to do a competition.
Oh yeah, we have some really good prizes.
We brought prizes, not just these calendars, but we have really good prizes.
The calendars are like really, truly awesome, and if we have time,
Talk about them.
talk about it a little bit. And then actually, if you guys, all of the things that we're talking about here today, if you want to really learn how to implement them and how to plan for it, we're doing a 2-day pre-conference session at ATIA in Orlando in January. And we have some flyers up here if anybody wants more information on that. So it'll be a full 2 days of planning for UDL and how to implement for UDL and walking out with resources ready to go to use with staff and students on UDL. So there's some flyers up here.
So the person that has their name and most strategies on this spreadsheet that we can all access and share, right? We're building this together, wins one of our fabulous prizes.
We have some really nice, like
Really
high-end,
nice prizes.
super duper prizes.
See how there
We're
was.
hoping you
See
like-
how TechSmith put these. We don't work for TechSmith. We just wrote.
We
them
don't
and
work for
said,
any of
"Hey,
these companies.
Can you tend to? Yeah, we don't work for any of
We're
these.
public
companies.
employees.
Just said, hey, we're doing a presentation. We're going to show some of your tools, and they sent us swag to give away.
Yeah.
Good
So
swag.
we've got some good swag. We've got some from. We're going to look at a tool called Glogster, and we have some good swag from Glogster to give away. So we hope you all contribute because we want you to be a part of the Read Write Web.
Everyone use Google Docs, by the way. That's another Web 2.0 tool. You guys know? Yes, a little bit, right? Okay. cool tool, this is a cool way to use it. It's a spreadsheet, right? It's just like Excel, except it's in the cloud. We can all access it. We made it so that it's accessible to anybody who has that hyperlink. And now collaboratively, we're going to build that document. Cool?
And our entire presentation is done in Google Docs. That's how Chris and I work on our presentations, because even though we're only about 20 miles away from each other, we're busy with lives and
kids.
And so that's how we're able to go in and
husbands and wives.
Yep, and create these, and then it's there on the web for whoever we want to allow access to it. When we talk about those privacy controls, it can be something. Any of these things in Google can be something that you choose to share with anybody, or you choose to share with only specific people, or you choose not to share at all.
Okay, the very first tool is vozme.com. Now we're getting into the fun stuff, right? We got the theory out of the way. Now we're going to play with the fun tools. So the first one is vozme.com. Anyone heard of it? Kathleen, one person. All right, great. So there's new for almost everybody. All right, so if you go to vozme.com, and that hyperlink should be active, but you can also type it in. This one does not start with bit.ly. This is actually the website, vozme.com. There's not, one of the reasons we like this tool is that there's not a lot you can get wrong in it, meaning you can't get lost. There's not a bunch of different places you can click and things to click on, and it's not distracting. You click it and there's like, what do I do on this page? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Enter text in English, right? And so you enter text in English. Now, for a calendar, I need a sentence. I'll trade you this calendar for a sentence. Tell me a sentence to type in there. Right. Well, yes. I mean, you do it too.
You can do it too.
you can play, or who wants to come up and be our...
I'm standing poised over the keyboard.
It's a sunny day today. And then you click. Now you have two choices: a male voice or a female voice. Female voice, right? Male or female voice. Two choices. Is that good or bad? What do you think? You like the female better? Okay, it's good in one sense because there are lots of other tools. What's this going to do? It's going to do text to speech, right? It's going to change this from text, and it's going to turn it into an audio format. The good thing about having only two is that you don't have the slew of choices for students to choose from, right? So there are a lot of tools that have lots of, gosh, what tool? I don't know. I want to pick this voice and this voice and this voice.
The robot voice. I like the robot voice. Mr. Bouquet, put it on the robot voice.
It's no different than choosing the font. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden the kid got, well, I just spent 15 minutes on. So that's a positive. The negative is we just told you that provide options is the key to everything, right? So we want to have students choose the voice that they like. So pro and con. What's the button you click to make it create voice? Create MP3.
Did you give your calendar to the person that? There we go.
That's right. I promised to trade, didn't I?
Okay.
Here, Diane. It's good. There we go.
It's a sunny day today.
And so then it reads, it's a sunny day today. And then, one more time, Beth, if you go ahead. Hit create MP3. That is there on the web, but you can also download it as an MP3 to save it onto your computer someplace. So then that student can take it with them, or email it, or whatever. Cool?
And, I'm trying to think, do I get, if I put spaces in, Chris, does it slow it down? Does it give me some?
Try it. Let's find out. There are some other things you can do, like embed it into Facebook. iGoogle's gone, so that probably should not be there anymore. But this is primarily how we've used it with students.
So so pretty darn quick and easy for student. If you've recorded something and a student needs to be able to listen to it, to be able to get to that. It's free, so we don't get a lot of options for manipulating that sound. Although you could take that MP3 into something else and,
right. Put it into a Word document or some other tool. The benefit, so there are lots of better text-to-speech options out there. There are, right? Free ones. Read Please is a piece of software that you can install. Natural Reader is another one. There's, of course, robust programs like Read and Write Gold or Kurzweil. Right? There's something called Word Talk That's an add-in that you can put into Word that will let Word, lots of better text-to-speech tools. But this one is very quick, easy, fast to use, and all those other tools require installs.
There's no installation. You just use it. It's free.
You just use it, right?
It. It's totally free, and you don't have to install it. So when you're in situations where teachers, which they typically are, do not have the ability to install anything and even a free tool in my district still has to go through a full evaluation, from an educational standpoint, and then a tech evaluation, like is it going to crash our server, before it can get on any computer.
Requires something that requires an install, right?
Right. So even with something like Natural Reader, which is the free Natural Reader, which is a great tool, I can't just choose to pull it up. Something like this, I can teach kids how to get to this website really easily to be able to input text in there.
And if kids have internet access at home, they can do this from home, right? They can do this from the public library. They can do it everywhere. Where those other tools that require installs, they can't use at the public library necessarily because those programs aren't installed on the computers at the public library. They're not installed ubiquitously, but this is there. Now, I've never hit a limit, but the more text you have, the longer it takes to process. So you have to wait a little bit longer. One sentence, it's going to go relatively quickly, but you've got multiple paragraphs there. You might be better off paragraph by paragraph. Just as a strategy, but you can play with it, and see how it works for you. We're talking text-to-speech. We're just making the assumption because everyone in the room is a special educator, right? Yes. Special educator. We did a little talking. Yeah.
OT's good. No, I'm married to an OT. It works for me.
Yeah. I like to pretend I have my little OT badge, because I work with so many OTs over the years, I get one pinned onto my... and I'm married to one. Yeah, so you have your OT
they're
tattoo.
Good. Yeah.
But so we understand why we would use text-to-speech, right? Student that comes across a website and the reading level's too high, they could copy the text out, paste it in here, and now they're not relying to get that content based on their reading ability. They can use their auditory comprehension skills, right? You guys all know this.
Okay. All right. So moving on, next tool is Glogster. Glogster EDUs. Anybody here used Glogster before? Ooh.
Oh, yay.
Okay.
Kathleen.
That's good. That's okay, because then you can help contribute to ideas and strategies for how to use them.
That's right, Kathleen. So, you can go onto that Google spreadsheet and you can put some ideas about how you used them in the past.
So Glogster EDU is a multimedia web-based tool. If you notice, it's got that EDU after it, and there is a public open version of this called Glogster.com, which is great too, but it's not, it doesn't have some of the privacy controls that the Glogster EDU version has. Both are free, so you don't have to pay anything to use them. Glogster EDU has some additional features in their premium version. And we have 2 premium licenses, 2-year-long premium licenses as part of our giveaways for your contributions today. So you just get a few additional features that can be really nice for classroom management tools as far as how you use it in your classroom, different privacy controls and features like that you can use. So Glogster, let's go ahead and go in and take a look. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And so it's edu.glogster.com. So edu.glogster.com is the URL. I have a new computer, so it's still like asking me for all my passwords for stuff. Okay, so I'm going to activate that later. Okay, so within Glogster, it allows you to create multimedia presentations that are basically posters. So I'm going to go ahead, let's see, what should I take a look at and show you, guys. Okay, so it basically creates a poster that you can put all sorts of different text on, including links. When I get that little pink circle along, it's going to take me to a link. I can put video in it, so I can embed video from YouTube, from Discovery Streaming, all sorts of places. I can have text. I can have all sorts of clip art and images. And again, I can have links. I can have hyperlinks in it. So it's basically a digital poster. We ask kids to make posters for lots of things, and after a while it gets pretty boring. When you get kids creating blogs, they get really excited. So I had a group of students who created, if I go back to my dashboard, I have a group of students who created a bunch of blogs for a project in English on Shakespeare, and I had students who, I had students who, thinking this is mine, yeah. I had students who really, they were the ones that just sort of, I'm not really going to do it, I'm going to whatever. And I had two of those students who would never turn in work. They were the first two to finish their blogs. It was filled with the information that they needed. They got A's on it, and then they got to go around and help, and this was a bunch of 8th graders. They got to go around and help other students work on their blogs. Then what I found out when I was going through, because it was a class that I'd created within Glogster, that not only were these students engaged in that class project, but these students who, if you asked them to do writing outside of class, would have laughed hysterically at you. So Sydney, one of the students in it, and I just came across it a while back, and she not only decided to do well on her project, but she created a blog. So she went in and created a blog herself, wrote in it, created, so this was something this was a kid who never would do any writing. Even on a Facebook kind of thing, it would have been like, a few short words,
LOL.
LOL, IDK, knowing this kid, some other things that she'd probably put in there. And she went in and did this all on herself. So that power, that engagement that got her to do more writing. This is also a student who really had some pretty significant spelling issues. And when I looked at this, I didn't see a single spelling error. There's a little grammar there, but I didn't see, and she is the kid that would have spelled friends, F-R-E-N-D. She, totally would not have. But the idea that this was out there for public, for anybody to be able to see, really, and when I talked to her about it, she's like, well, yeah, I made sure that I typed it, one of it doesn't have a spell check built into it, but she's like, yeah, I typed it in Word so I could make sure that I spelled it correctly first.
And then
so
copy and paste.
She was really motivated by the idea that she was not only a consumer of information, but that she was a producer of information, and that what she had to share was of value, and she wanted it to be of high quality as well. So that was a huge thing for this student who, writing, why would I ever want to be able to write? So if you want to go in and create a blog, you do have to, this is one of those things where you do have to sign up, but it is super easy creating a new blog. I'm not going to go into, gives you a bunch of different templates that you can start with, things that are pretty much blank. And again, you can add video, audio, text, images that are your own or that you bring in from other sources. And I don't want to use up all of our time on it, but very simple to use. We have, so you can see text, graphics from within there, images that you can pull in from other sources. Your wall is your background, so you could have a map as a background. You could have an image as a background. You could have just a kind of paper as a background. Audio, video, and you can actually embed some data in there as well. So lots of very cool things that you can do with it.
There was just some way you could take your text and convert it into audio.
Yeah, so that you could have it up there. Gosh,
so
I
there's just
wish
some
we
way
knew
you
a
could
way.
do that. If there was only some tool that you could use.
Does anybody have an idea of a tool you could use so you could embed your MP3 that you made? Buzz Bosme.
Bosme, right? Yes, yes. I'm going to give that person back their calendar.
Yes,
She was
indeed.
nodding from the second I said it.
So you could use that
Yep.
and embed it in here, and then they click on it,
And it would play it, exactly.
You save the MP3 to your computer, and then you upload the MP3 to Glogster.
So let's say students wrote a poem, and because poems are meant to be read out loud and listened to, the student could write their poem, put it into Bosme, get the MP3 for it, and then embed that into that audio file, that MP3. They could then put their text in also, and then within that text, they could embed that audio and have that.
So this is web-based, right?
This is web-based.
Everything we're showing is
Everything we're
web-based.
showing you is web-based.
Take it and put it in some, like if they needed to do a PowerPoint.
So
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Here's the activity, right? It's 5th grade, and your activity is to talk about the election, what you participate in the election. Some students might go out and they get screenshots or pictures of different parts of the election and make a nice PowerPoint. Other students go to Glogster and they make a glog that talks about the election. And now you have options, and it's the same, different tools, but what engaged that student? I don't know, I really feel comfortable with my PowerPoint. I've used it before, I like it, I'm going to stick with PowerPoint. Fine. You want to try something more engaging, fun? Or not more engaging, something different? Try that. And so you'll have some students that use Glogster, some students that use PowerPoint. But what's the skill? The skill is they still talked about the election. That was the goal.
right. The other thing you can do is students can leave comments on it. So you as a teacher could leave comments, but students in your class who have access to this, you can, within Glogster EDU, you can have it so that only students that you've assigned can see it, as opposed to it being completely public and open for anybody in the world to see. So you do have some privacy controls, which is great. And with the premium version, you have even more ways of tweaking those privacy controls. But students can go in and say what they've learned. So if everybody had an assignment that was slightly different, if they chose, if they had choice, a big part of UDL is providing choice. If they had choice of a research topic, and they all did their research topic, but the whole point of a research topic is to create informational text to inform somebody else, or to create argument or an opinion text with the Common Core writing standards, so that they can convince, so that they can show their argument with reasons to another person. Somebody could go in and comment on that, give them feedback, talk about how it impacted them. So again, they are producers and consumers, and it's collaborative. They can go in and work on this together. You can also take a blog and embed it into another web page. So if you have a blog or a wiki or any other type of web page that you're creating, you can take your blog and it will live outside of Glogster and be the web page, which is really nice, and it's a very engaging way of setting up a web page for different information. So that's a cool tool as well.
Thinking maybe a little bit differently.
Uh-huh.
I work primarily with functional skills or life skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking how neat that would be for a field trip if the teacher, it might be more the teacher doing it, but then the kids are engaged in seeing it and seeing themselves on it or what they did, and it helped them retell what they did or to share.
Love it.
Yep,
Love it.
absolutely. I actually created one. I took a whole bunch of videos, YouTube videos, for a group of students with young students with autism that I worked with, and the issue that they were having is they just go on and they were like just going into YouTube and getting into all sorts of stuff. So we popped, because we could embed those videos right into Glogster, we popped a whole bunch of their favorite little song videos in there, and they were able to go in and click on the ones that they wanted, play it within the glog. And then what we did to make it more academic for them is then they were able to use comments, and at a very simple level, and whether they typed it themselves, whether they told us the comment they wanted, or whether they used their AAC device to give us that information, they were able to comment, this is my favorite one, I love the monkey one, play it more, whatever the level that they were at. So we were able to make this into a literacy experience as well. So we were able to take what was engaging to them, listening to these videos, and watching these music videos, and make it a literacy experience.
I think of, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm just curious if this may be kind of a silly question. But can you,
There's
No
only
silly
one
questions.
silly question. It's the one you don't ask.
but can you then, because knowing that not every people have computers at home or always can have time to access it, can you print off the gist of it?
Yes. So you can print it. So you can print your, now you're going to lose your multimedia elements, but if it was a text and picture based, you could absolutely, there's a button on there where you can say print this glog. And I think it gives you a few different sizes, like 8 by 10, 11 by 8.5 by 11 by 14. So I think you can, so that you could have a paper product, you know, to put on there.
So what you do is you print those, and then you put them on the wall outside your classroom, and you put little QR codes. And so when it's back to school night, and the parents go around, they can say, oh, I want to see the interactive part of my kid's glog that they made. And they take out their phone, and they click on the QR code, and then it brings up, and they can actually play with right there. Speaking of QR codes, since you liked that, and since you're working with transition and vocational skills, one thing that we're doing with some of our students is we're taking the QR codes and putting them right to YouTube. This is not Glogster related. This is separate because you mentioned it and it jumped in my head. So you're taking those QR codes and putting them on pieces of equipment out at job sites. Like, so how do you use this piece of equipment? Put the QR code here. Students have their iPod Touch or whatever. They're connected to the Wi-Fi. They hit it, and they are now getting they're watching the YouTube video about how to use this piece of equipment. Cool. Two clicks. You know, open the QR code, scan it, and they've got it without having to type in bit.ly or whatever. Yeah. Cool. Yes. Like that. Good. Sweet.
All right. Awesome. All right. Keeping going. So next tool, Wall Wisher. All right, so we are showing you lots of different tools that can do some of the same things in slightly different ways. So
Wall Wisher went ahead and been using Wall Wisher for a couple of years now.
A number of years.
And all of a sudden, was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
One of the pros and cons, right? One of the maybe cons is that this is a web-based tool, and web-based tools update. You know, those of you that use Google, and all of a sudden, hey, we've got a new version of Google Gmail or whatever. You know, they just change things all of a sudden, and that's what happened with Wall Wisher. Just recently changed. Luckily, for the better. It actually is a much better interface. It seems really cool. So Wall Wisher is this place where you put sticky notes all over a wall, and you can just brainstorm together. Very similar to
something that we did earlier today. Sharing ideas collaboratively. The Google Docs.
Right? Here it's very similar. So Beth, will you jump over to Wall Wisher?
I will. I'm going to jump into our, should I jump into our Wall Wisher?
Perfect.
Okay.
This is one we set up. And it says double click or drag a file anywhere to post something. So Beth's going to double click, and she's going to say, I learned about Google Docs. And she can make a hyperlink here. She can upload a file. She can take a picture from her webcam. And that's just her. But anyone who has that URL, I mean, you can set it up so it's private and it's just for you. Or you could set it up and share it with other people so that people can now be on and going to this, and we could all be putting stuff here together. Want to try it? All right, Beth, will you flip back over to the presentation? Here's the URL, and you have the URL if you're looking at it. Go here, wallwisher.com/wall, and now it's capitalized. It's capitalization counts. UDL PATINS 2012.
And I'm not sure if capitalization counts on this. I think I just did it that way.
It might be.
Yeah, I don't think capitalization counts. In bit.ly it counts, but I don't think it does this.
Yeah, you're right.
And again, I could have made a bit.ly for this and had it been UDL PATINS, wall or something like that. But the Wall Wisher was a pretty simple one where you can, because obviously, as opposed to your Google Docs, where you're given this URL and there's nothing you can do about it, there might be some premium way that you can create your own.
Google
thing.
has a shrinker too.
Yeah, but I titled this what I wanted it to be, so it was UDL PATINS 2012.
Can you access it? Are you adding stuff to it? Okay, I'm trusting you because we're about to flip over and we are on the internet. They're going to make me look like silly.
I have so many things open. I'm like, where is it?
So I hope there's stuff there when we go back over. Don't lie to me, people.
Okay, there we go.
Yay! People put stuff.
Now,
awesome.
and as you're going, if I keep refreshing, it'll show different information.
How did you get the thing to come at the bottom? Because it came at the bottom initially online. And
It's when you refresh it, it's going to shoot that across.
Gives you the instructions every time. I'm learning so much today, yes. It's so early in the day, too. You still have all day to learn more.
But their coffee hasn't worn off yet.
Yeah.
So.
It's true. After lunch is when...
when did they create a wall? Get back to it.
Okay, yeah. I did that too. When I was like, I'm going to need to play with the new tools, and what this looks like I need to add something here, right? And so I clicked on this thinking I was going to add something, and all of a sudden it created a new wall. How you go back is just go back to our presentation, click on the link again, and it'll take you back in.
Yeah. And I can create, and actually it's very easy. I can create a wall quickly and easily with where I can put in, what my title, what it's called. It is going to ask you to have some certain elements to it, and it won't let you create the wall until you've added like the title and the
Given it a picture.
and the description and given it a picture. You can add your own picture. So if you wanted to upload a picture, of something, let's say you were writing comments about a field trip, or let's say you were having a study, creating, study strategies, or whatever else that you might create a collaborative document for. I have seen teachers use this as their back channel, which was kind of our idea with how you might use it today. So as they are going through and doing a lecture, students that have the ability to, if you're in a situation where we've got lots of computers, you're in a lab, you can do this, or you can have a computer dedicated in the classroom that kids are allowed to come up to as the teacher is lecturing and input information. So there was something really, really valuable that they wanted to make sure that everybody got, and then when they got home, everybody had all that information. Or maybe as a teacher's lecturing, you might say, somebody give me, I need a name because I'm Diane, right? Diane. So I could say, Diane, that was a great point. Could you please go add that to our wall wisher so that everybody remembers that? So we end up with that, with a way of having notes that we are ensuring that the most important things from our discussion today are in those notes. And I don't have to rely on an individual student's good, fair, or poor note-taking skills to know that they're going to have access to high-quality notes. It's also another way, when we have these students with accommodations, and you're either giving them carbon paper, you're having a dedicated note taker, or whatever, that instead of it being, oh, this is for that student, you end up with a really superior note-taking product that every student can access.
Questions? What do you think?
I'm not getting there.
You're not getting the wall wisher? Wall wisher does work on the iPad too, although
So, I got to wall wisher.
there's a wall in between here. wallwisher.com/wall/UDL.
There's ours.
There's that. You see there's a little wall in between there?
No,
wallwisher.com/wall/UDL patents.
I'm not even looking at the, okay, wall.
See it? Right here.
If I was really good, Chris, we would, okay, so
We would
upgrade.
Bit dot
No, we're going to have QR codes for all of our,
every single
for
one.
before tomorrow when we do our part 2 of this. Tonight we'll put QR codes so that you can just take your smartphones and you don't have to worry about typing that in.
Great idea.
Or if you pull up the whole presentation, you could just be clicking in this. So you can be in this presentation as we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't given you editing rights to it, we're just sharing it with you.
That's what some of you are doing, right? Yes. Okay.
So a couple of other alternatives to this. This is not the only type of thing. There's
Lenoir?
Lenoir, is that it? It's
That's how I say it.
Lenoir.com or
Because I'm all fancy like that.
Yeah. Okay. So Lenoir or Lineot is how I was going to say it, but I'm not as fancy as Chris. Or Sticky. So again, 2 other options for online
Kind
sticky
of the
note
same.
boards.
Could you use this as administrators with your professional development when you do a meeting next time? Yes. All right. We got a head nod. Yes.
So much more fun than like just your average meeting. Okay.
So much more engaging, right?
Instead of your big parking lot, this will be a
Yes, exactly, absolutely. So you can take those Baldrige strategies that you might be using and put them in a different format. And then I know we use those too, and instead of having the secretary then have to go type up all of those notes, it's there, and you can refer to it right away.
Think of it this way, though. Not instead, in addition to. So you got those people that are like, I'm not using wall wishers, I'm not tech savvy. Okay, we'll take you baby steps through the process. You write it here, and then you can go that and figure out how to do wall wisher later to put it there. But options for people, right?
And the nice thing is that you can set it up so that if you're doing something like feedback, and people don't want to identify themselves for their feedbacks if they're using it for their plus deltas, their parking, whatever it is. Or you can have students as they're doing it, and you want to use this as an exit card strategy or something that they type their name on that, so that because you don't have to be logged in you all didn't log into Wall Wisher. You don't have to be logged in to use it. If you were logged into Wall Wisher, it would identify you. So if I was logged into Wall Wisher and it went into a wall, it would identify me.
But you have to be logged in, like when you created your wall, like you were logged in and then we added to your wall?
Right, exactly. I don't know that you even have to log in to create a wall.
I think you can create a wall without logging in.
But I have a collection of some different walls, and I want to make sure I can get back to them easily, so I have a login.
It is one of those things, like we create logins, and then we say, yes, remember me, and then it's always there. But I'm pretty sure that if you don't log in, you can create a wall, and it stays there for a little while.
Yeah. Okay, so the next tool we're going to take a look at is Flickr. We actually looked at Flickr just a little bit when we looked at the meta-attempt for our little spelling activity, because what that did is it pulled letters in Flickr. Has anybody here used Flickr for their own personal use or anything before? Okay. So, Kathleen, have you used Flickr before? Okay, just check. Just checking. There's lots of different tools. So Flickr is an online photo and video sharing site. So it's like Photo Bucket, it's like Snapfish, where you can put your pictures in and share them, so I can go put my kids' dance pictures up and then, say, Grandma and Grandpa, here's a link to Morgan's, recital pictures, take a look at them. But there's so much more that I can do with Flickr, and I could do an entire full day session, let alone just a 2.5-hour session on Flickr. So I'm not going to go super in-depth into it at all, and actually I'm going to go pretty much right into another resource where you'll get to see some Flickr. But it's a way that I can do it, that I can use pictures that are on the web or pictures that I choose to put in and be able to access them digitally. So I'm just trying to think if there was one that I had. You can organize pictures in lots of different ways, and I'm going to go into a gallery really quickly.
Do you see her name? If you hover off of there for a second.
Oh.
That's okay. We'll come back to it, because you just got in.
Oh, and I'm Pos Beth. I'm Pos Beth on everything.
It always says hello to you.
Oh, it says hello to you in different languages.
And it always freaks me out because I'm like, what does that mean? Am I in a different language?
Yeah, no, it just says it in different languages. But you can create groups of pictures, galleries of pictures. So if you are studying, if you're studying physical features of the United States, I can have an entire gallery of pictures that I've selected for students to be able to view or use in a variety of different ways, and I can have those pictures in there. I can also create, this one I can't. If the person who's put a picture in allows annotations, you can annotate. So I could put in that this is the Chesapeake Bay in here, and this is a tributary, and this is the Atlantic Ocean. So I could get in and be able to, if the person who's uploaded the picture allows that. If I'm the one uploading it, I'm going to allow for annotations so that my students can do that. I can do so many other things with this that, again, I could take an entire day to do that, and I don't want to take our entire day to do that. But to say that Flickr, an really important part about Flickr is that many, many, many of the pictures within Flickr are licensed under what's called Creative Commons. People familiar at all with what Creative Commons licensing is? So it's a way of, generally, if you put something on the web, it is yours. And if I put a picture up there, it is mine. I have rights to it. Just because I put it on the web didn't mean I gave my rights away to it. But a way when we're on the Read Write Web to give people the ability to use things that you put up there in varying degrees with varying degrees of freedom, is to license it under Creative Commons. And so within Flickr, you can choose to license it within Creative Commons, where it's under copyright, nobody can use it for anything. They can show it. You can have it licensed under Creative Copyright, where you can use it with attribution, meaning say who took that picture, and for non-commercial purposes only. So you can't go and sell my picture to somebody. Or you can use it freely, with or without attribution, and for commercial purposes. It's yours. I put it up there. Do whatever you want with it. So I have all different degrees of that.
Now Beth is talking about pictures, but that's really for any
Anything,
content.
for any content.
So like I mentioned earlier, before we started recording on the cameras, that I do a podcast called the AT Tips Cast. The AT Tips Cast, every episode is licensed under Creative Commons, so people can use it, and they can go out and take it, and they can share it with people.
And so if I choose to, so I had one of those, there's Hurricane Carlotta, and this one happens to be that there's some rights reserved with it. So you're able to use it, but there are rights reserved. The great thing about Flickr is that when we find things that are licensed under Creative Commons and we're allowed to use them, I can take it and I can pull it freely and legally into PowerPoints, into Glogster, into other resources. And I'm going to take you into a tool that's going to do just that.
Before you do that, can you go to Actions here now?
I certainly can. So this one allows. This one didn't. It has an somebody put an annotation on there, but they didn't. Sometimes people will restrict annotations because people have been obnoxious and put inappropriate annotations on it, so they do it. I have not had that problem where I've had anybody. I have mine set up when I put pictures in to be allowed to be annotated, and I have not had.
Do you have a picture you've done? Because I think it'd be good to see what those options are.
Nice to see what that would be. I certainly do. So it organizes things by photo stream.
All right, there's this other website. Not many of you probably have heard of it. It's called Facebook. Have you heard of it, right? But you do this thing, right, where you take your pictures and you load it up. It's the coolest thing. You upload these pictures, and then everyone sees them. But what do, right? When there's a picture of Beth and she uploads it.
I can't get to my picture that I have up there.
What do you do with that picture? You tag her, right? Tagging in Facebook is for people's faces. What Flickr does is it allows you to tag pictures for whatever. So whatever that picture of. It's a picture of a hurricane, you type in hurricane. You type in globe, earth, whatever the picture was, right? And that's how Spell with Flickr works. It's looking for, when you type in the TECH for technology, the word that we put in at the beginning of the session, it's looking for pictures that are tagged, because there are people who go out and take pictures of different letters, and then they upload them to Flickr, and they tag them that way. Cool? So it's like a hashtag. It's like a hashtag,
and it tags it and allows people to search for it. So I can add, so this is the cutest animal in the world. It is my daughter's baby goat. So I can,
she's adding all these tags you can think of.
Okay.
General rule of tags, the more the better. Because what Krista might think to search for might be different from what I might search for. So there's many things I can think of. I might look at that and think, that's a sheep.
And this is, it's a little small, but this is where I can set in my licensing so that I can have it be non-commercial, means they can use it, but they can't sell it, non-derivative, they can't change it, or I could have it where it's no derivatives, I can share alike. So anybody, I don't care, anybody can use this picture. I'm not putting any restrictions on it. You can use it. As long as you share it out, you can use it, okay? So I can set that. And I can have different filters and everything on there as well. So it could not be public. It could be to a group. If I'm putting up pictures of students or things that kids are doing and I don't want it, I can do that. So I have my picture. And I should be able to.
Yes.
Okay, so now I can add a note. I can add it to a map. I can.
So imagine now students adding notes, or a teacher adding a note to a picture about how we're going to use this.
Okay, so I can put this on there. So now we've got information, and then know that is there. Okay, could be a diagram. I could have kids labeling ears, tail, nose, feet, whatever it is. I could have something more complex on there, obviously. that students would be able to go in. And again, they can add comments to this. So it becomes that interactive even beyond just what I'm doing it. I want to take you in. I'm sorry, I don't mean to rush through that, but I want to take you in. I know some of you, can I skip ahead and we'll go on and then we'll come back to it. I want to take you into Tar Heel Reader. I know a couple people said they work with low incidence disabilities, correct? So a lot of these tools that we're showing you, there's lots of ways that you can use them with low incidence disabilities, but they might not be kids might need a fair amount of support to use them independently. This is one site that was developed specifically for individuals with low incidence disabilities. It was developed by Dr. Karen Erickson out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, hence Tar Heel Reader. And it is a bookmaking website where you can find and create digital talking books, okay? Within this, it is switch accessible. There is many different high interest, low reading level books available. You can just go into Tar Heel Reader and be a consumer. And you can find thousands, 25,000 different books on different topics. And they're rated. You can do conventional, transitional. So when we talk about when you look at, those are different reading. So students who are looking at conventional text as opposed to transitional text, it's her, and I'm going to mix it up if I put which one is which. So I believe that transitional is where you're going from the very repeated line type of structure to conventional, which is your typical narrative text. So she has it by that. You can get it from all these different languages. And so I can just go in and I can find a book about anything. I can do, Ryan's New York book. Okay? I can have speech to text on this. I can have a child, a woman, or a man's voice, and it is switch accessible, so that I could set this up for a single switch or two switch access, so that I can go in. And I can also change the background, so I can have high contrast, like dark background with text. And I could be able to go in and it would read this. I can also download it as a PowerPoint. So if I don't have internet access and I want to be able to provide this to students, I could either print it or I can download it as a PowerPoint. So for students who don't have technology available to them at all, give them a print copy. For students who might have technology but don't have internet access necessarily, I can just do it as a PowerPoint. The really cool thing, though, about Tar Heel Reader, aside from being able to find books, 25,000 different books, is that you can also write a book. So it goes both ways, okay? It will ask you to sign up for free at the registration page, and it asks you for an invitation code. The trick with the invitation code is that there's only one code, and they don't put it out there publicly. They don't want to get they want people to use it purposefully, and they don't want it, just randomly coming in and having, spammed. And the invitation code is literacy with a capital L and an exclamation point at the end. Literacy with a capital L, capital L, capital L, capital L, and an exclamation point at the end. Literacy, literacy.
Anyone using this? We got a head nod here, yes.
So
Okay.
very awesome. So you can go in and then you can create your own books within it. When you go in, it sends you an email giving you a registration code, and then you can go in. And what it does is when you create books, it pulls pictures from Flickr. Creative Commons licensed only, so you're doing the legal right thing that you should be doing with students. Because, by the way, we can't legally go into Google Images and take any picture we want and pull it in to our stuff. Like, it's out there, but technically we really can't do that. We really have to get permission. So it allows me to, it does give you a weird code, and I think I didn't ever change mine to something more manageable. So
I hear you. I do it too. I forget the password, and then it sends you one, and it's all this random, and then I keep that in my email. So if I go to my email, I pull it up. Those of you that are head nodding about using it, how have you used How have you used it? Or is there things we should make sure you mention this about Tar Heel Reader? Right?
We usually use it for social stories. If we're not making our own social stories, there are some on there that are good for social stories. And then you can print them out.
Ugh,
Save it as
now it's telling me.
Print them out like this handout, so it has 3 to a page. And you cut those up and save them together and take them to your
Take it home and do their own. Now, you said this term social stories. I'm sure people in the room know what social stories are, but those are people that are not in the room that might be watching out on the internet. What's a social situation story or a social story?
Like hygiene, personal hygiene, like make sure you wash your hands when you use the restroom, how to act in the hallways, staying quiet in the hallways, stuff like that.
Basically, any behavior that a student, if a student was constantly picking their nose, you could write a social story about how it's appropriate that we don't pick our nose and that we use Kleenex.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
Right? Or if a student's constantly shouting out, your teacher likes it when you raise your hand or when you wait your turn, right? Whatever the behavior is. Cool, very cool. Do you find yourself looking for social situation stories here, social stories here, or do you find yourself making more of your own, using your own digital pictures?
When you look there, what about also you use your own pictures of the student doing the proper behavior, so that way the students actually look at themselves.
So students see themselves, you've caught them being good, and then you reinforce that over and over again by looking at the picture of me doing whatever. I'm using a Kleenex, I'm using a Kleenex, I'm using a Kleenex. Yes. Okay, cool.
So when you get in and you start writing it, it's going to ask you to find some words. So what should we write about?
Ryan gets a t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
It's from Tech Smith.
What should we write about? Anybody have a topic that you'd like to write about? You could write about baby goats. Anybody have a topic that you want to write about?
You must have taught something
Come
recently.
on. All right. What should we write about? What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing? I can't read your name tag from here.
Dogs.
Dogs. All right. Thank
Dogs.
you.
Third best pet dog. What's the first? Ferrets.
It
Ferrets
asks,
are the best. Ferrets.
it asks me to search Flickr, or I can upload my own images. But if I search Flickr, okay, so I can find all sorts of like really cute pictures of dogs. Okay, so I got one picture. All right, should we use this dog picture? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up, should we use this picture? Or thumbs up? Okay. All right, should we use this picture? Thumbs up, yes, or thumbs down, no? Okay, thumbs up. Should we use that picture? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down, okay. Should we use this picture? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up, okay. All right, so I got a bunch of pictures. Okay. I can have my title. Okay, guys, what's the title of our book going to be today? My dog. Okay. So I've got my picture, I got my title, and I'm going to get to add a short sentence, okay? So I could either have my students inputting this with their, they could be typing it, they could be inputting it if they have a device that connects up, we could be generating this, so I could be having this be really simple.
So that's one way, right? Students could go in and they could type sentences, yes? Or it could just be used as a sequencing activity. You don't use any text, and you could just click on the arrows to put things in order. So we've gone out on a community-based instruction trip, and we've taken pictures of whatever. First we got off the bus. Then we walked into the grocery store. Then we pulled out our list. Then we got everything off the shelves. Then we put them in the cart. Then we checked out, right? And you took pictures along those all the way. And then you put them up here in random order, and students just put them in order, right? So they never have to do the text if they don't want to. It's a sequencing activity.
And
Scaffolding.
so I've got my pages. If I'd selected one of the, when I was in my home, if I'd selected one of the text-to-speech options, child, man, or woman, it would be reading these as we went. Okay, this again, if I was switch set up, I would be able to go through. Okay, I can go and return to editing. I can save it as a draft. I can publish my book. So simple, quick, easy, accessible I don't have to have a ton of fancy schmancy search skills. It's not visually overwhelming, so I can really use this fast and easy in a lot of different ways with a lot of different kids. Now we're going to go back into
Yes.
It's easy for parents to understand because in my class, sometimes students who have more severe disabilities, they write the story at school, they go home, parents pull it up, and kids can read it to them.
Because it's web-based.
Because it's web-based, and because it isn't, like you're saying, it's not more complicated to figure out like how to set up the switch and walk you through.
And I can search for stories by author. So if I knew everything was being authored by Mrs. Poss, I could go in and I could search and I could look regularly for what's being authored by Mrs. Poss. So you can search by author.
We've been pulling up the alternative options. There's Book Builder by Cast is another option. And then there's another more mainstream one called Brightly. It's not, so it's Bright, B-R-I-T-E. Didn't add it here, but Beth, we could do that, right?
We can do that because we are, whoops.
Because we have the technology to edit the document on the fly. Look, people are actually doing the Google Doc. Excellent. We're building that Google spreadsheet together. It's because we have a big prize back here.
I know. We got to motivate. You know, we are all about bribes.
So it is BR down here. BRITE dot ly.
Okay, and do I need
Brightly.
anything else or that?
Or maybe is it Brightly? Yeah, it's Brightly. That's right. Or maybe it's brightly.com. But anyway, Brightly, you Google it, you'll find it. Brightly, it makes slideshows as well of pictures, and it allows you to search through pictures, add them in. But it's more meant for like bloggers to use than students. But that's not to say students couldn't use
Okay,
it.
that's
Just another
not it.
option for you to explore.
I'm going to find what the actual,
Yeah, Brightly.
yeah, but that's not coming up with the right thing.
And maybe it's brightly.com.
Here it is,
Yeah.
brightly.com.
Brightly.com. Messed it up. Okay, how about Blabberize? Anyone using Blabberize? Seen it before? Kathleen's seen it before. Haven't used it in a while, or just haven't ever used it?
Oh, we have something Kathleen hasn't used. We're so excited.
right.
I'm going to put in the link for that, and then
Okay, so Blabberize, you can see we made you a blabber. It's got this great llama. You always know you're in the right spot because it's a llama, right? Okay, yes, I'm in the right spot.
I'm in the right spot, but I'm.
What it does is it allows you to take a picture and you upload it, right? Any picture that you have. You upload the picture, and then you draw a mouth around the mouth in the picture, or really anywhere in the picture. If there wasn't a picture of a person's head with a mouth, if it was a pumpkin, you could draw a thing on a pumpkin, and then you make it talk, right? So you see this thing going up and down like it's talking. The kids love it. The students love it. Everyone
Okay.
loves it. What?
I'm sorry, should I click on it?
Yes, let's
Okay.
go to Blabberize and see if we can make one.
And it's blabberize.com.
Are you playing with it? Are you trying to do it right now? No? Okay. And we'll just click on the Make button. Blabberize and Make go take you to the same spot. You see that there's a login. Yeah, someone's watching the video. All right, so now it says find a picture. So Beth's going to go out and she's going to find a picture. One with a would be preferable, but it doesn't have to be that, Beth. There's the baby goat picture, excellent. And so we want to make that baby goat talk. First, she can crop the picture. She can make it smaller.
Can I make it bigger? No, I can't make it bigger.
You can't make it bigger, but I think you can make it smaller if you wanted to crop
Okay,
it.
well, we're good.
So let's say it's fine. She's going to click the next button. And this is your mouth. See this black, this red area with these different dots? The dots are how you draw the mouth around. So she's going to draw a mouth. If you just pull down that, do you want me to? Yep, you got it. There you go, Beth. There you go. And now I need another volunteer. Fabulous prizes. Volunteer. Great, come on up. Okay, so Beth drew this mouth. Move it up. Yeah, that's good. And then you notice down here, you have the option of having two mouths. Right? This is if you had to hit the plus button, you could actually add a second mouth to it.
So if there was like two people in the picture.
Right, because you had two people in the picture, right? And then you hit this button. This is where I need your help. Okay? She's going to hit the next button. And it says, what kind of sound do you want to make? And that's where I get you to come help us. Okay. Go over there by Beth. You can make one with your with a recorder, with your phone. You can upload a recording, right? Something you've already recorded. Oh man, if there was just a website where I could put text in, and I could.
And we get an MP3 from it.
And I get an MP3.
God, that would be so useful.
Be so useful. Bosme.com. That's right. Or you can record your own, which Lori is going to help us with.
Got something in mind?
Lori, what is it? What are you going to make this goat say?
Goat sound.
Okay.
Perfect.
That works. Okay.
Lori is the Indianapolis goat calling champion.
All right, you ready? Okay, hang on. It's connecting, so hang on a second.
It might take a second, and it might come up saying, hey, you're asking us to use your microphone. Is that okay? And there'll be an allow button. We'll see if that.
And see if it's. I wonder, it shouldn't have anything to do with the recording.
The internet? No, because we're working. Oh, maybe because we're on the.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
So I'm going to
Hit
click
allow.
allow.
And then you hit the red record button.
So I'm going to hit the red record button. You ready?
Meh, I'm a cute kid.
Beth, I think when you hit the record button.
Oh, did I do it? Okay.
You got one more time, Lori. It was
one more
great.
time because that was so awesome.
Get my goat impression.
There you go. You ready?
Meh, I'm a cute kid.
And then you hit the play button.
I think I screwed up. Okay, let's do this one more time.
Lori, this time with feeling.
Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this. All right, there we go. You ready?
Meh, I'm a cute kid.
Did you see the mouth moving? You see the mouth moving? And then Beth just hits the.
I'm a cute kid.
Beth hits the next button. Thank you, Lori. I have a
Thank
prize
you.
for you. Lori, did you get a calendar yet? No. Oh, my goodness. You get a calendar and a T-shirt. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you.
For Lori, yay.
I'm a cute kid.
Obviously, I'm not finding where my speakers are on my computer. Okay.
Can hear it. Good. So you get the idea, right? Beth could make that mouth go way down, right? And it sort of matches Lori's sound. Right? And then you hit OK. Yes, I like it. I'm happy with it. And then you get to share it. And you can make another scene, or you can save it. If to save it, you have to log in. You have to create a free account. And then you can share the URL that's produced to, students can share the URL produced, or teachers can share the URL produced. So what do you think? How do we use this? Because it's kind of fun, right?
I'm trying to remember if I've ever created an account on this before.
You could, I don't know, I was listening to the speech, how it sounded on there, but it could motivate a student to, as far as if they're working on certain sounds of fluency or whatever. And then also I was thinking one of my groups, we're trying to carry that over to the classroom, and we're going to teach, like, there's a group of them, and they're going to teach a game to give the directions. But also you could utilize making something that they could use in their speech and practice that way, and present it to the class.
Spoken like a true speech therapist. Absolutely. That's absolutely. How much more motivating is that to practice your sounds that way and to watch these, either a picture of yourself or some other picture of someone else.
I can think of some of mine that they're at the level where as long as they slow down, their sounds are they don't mumble as much.
Right, they're running too fast.
And if they want to hear it on there, they're going to be highly motivated to make sure they do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great use for it in speech. Other ideas.
I was also thinking speech, but more like you said, motivating, but you can use Thomas the Tank Engine and we have that podcast. So, I mean, encourage them to like hear it with something they like and then they can.
So those are good examples, and they're especially in speech, right? But That's because we're special educators, right, in this room. And we're talking about UDL for any student. So let's broaden it, right? We talked about the activity of election, right? Or how about this? There's a new movie coming out by Steven Spielberg. What is it? Anyone know? Seen the commercials yet? Lincoln, right? So what if we took a picture of Abraham Lincoln and we loaded that up there? And now the student who's done a report on Lincoln says, I'm Abraham Lincoln, and what I did was A, B, C, and D. This is what I accomplished in my presidency, and the mouth is moving, right? How much more engaging is that than writing a report on Abraham Lincoln? It's still the same content. They're still researching the same content, but you're not having to spew it back out in text format necessarily. It's a different mode of expression. Or, I just went to see the movie, and that wasn't like me at all. What would be better is blah, 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 blah. These were the facts, and these were the, some sort of activity like that. That's just one social studies thing. But think about any picture you could add a voice to.
So again, getting into all those different ways that kids could write a report to express their knowledge. Or they could use a tool like this to express their knowledge. Now, if you're talking about writing, you still need kids to be able, when we look at the writing standards, we still need kids to write. But that engagement piece may come in because they know that their end product is going to be this. So what they write, how well they write, the quality that they put behind it, the length, all of those things, looking at word choice, looking at the use of all those things that we're going to measure. We're looking at their word choice. We're looking at their use of transition words. We're looking at the coherence, the clarity. When students know that their work is going to be visible in this way, their motivation to do that, because it's going to be shared, because they have become not just consumers of information, but producers of information. And in this day and age, kids are always producing. I mean, every time kids put something on Facebook, every time they record a video and stick it up on YouTube, they are producing information. But what we're asking them to do now is to produce it with some educational fidelity behind it.
Mm-hmm. When Beth mentioned writing, again, I feel like I'm going to be preaching to the choir here in a room full of special educators, but maybe someone who's watching is not a special educator. The idea behind the writing, right, like Beth said, students need to learn how to write. But is the skill, when we're talking about that Abraham Lincoln activity, can they write about Abraham Lincoln, or do we want them to know the content behind Abraham Lincoln?
What are we measuring?
What are we measuring? And that's an important distinction. Many times teachers will blur those lines and say, well, because when I was in school, I had to write about Abraham Lincoln, and that's a good way for students to express what they know. All students should write about Abraham Lincoln, when really what the skill is do we know what Abraham Lincoln did, right? And can they express it in a different way? If the skill is, I need you to write about Abraham Lincoln, then that's a different question. But if the skill is, I need you to know and be able to express about Abraham Lincoln, then let's give them some options.
And even if the skill is to be able to write about it, how can we give them options for publishing their writing? Because that part of the writing process of publishing does not have to be a pencil and paper published task. It could be a blabberize.
If there was only a tool where students run out to a website and they looked up information about Abraham Lincoln and they could copy text and paste it into like notes or something, like sticky notes, like we would write down sticky notes or note cards. Remember the day when we did reports? We went into a book.
And they could move those things around.
They could move those things around.
And organize their ideas. That would be so cool.
Like a wall wisher.
Yes!
Oh my goodness. Let's invent it.
If I could only find the right wall wisher on my...
You get one for Bosme comment earlier.
So
I didn't forget about you. You're welcome.
Oh, and I think I'm not, because I'm not logged in, that's why I'm not able to move these. If I was logged into this, I would easily be able to move these notes around. I think that's because I'm not logged in.
Exactly.
To organize them, to put them, this is the order they need to be in, my rough draft, my outline, and then to be able to use those in that way.
I think it's independent, meaning I think the way you move it around is different than someone else watching it, how you move it around.
You can change the color
You can change.
Yes.
Yes.
So you
This-
can organize them by color.
Yes.
Notes.
I think. I know you can change the background. Can you change the colors of the?
That's a good question. I'm looking with. Let's me find if I one that
You might have to be logged in. To
I
do
might
it.
need to be logged in to do some of those.
How about you
other
play with
features.
it and let us know? Can you change the color?
So if I log in.
That's all right, Beth.
Yeah.
We're
Okay,
gonna-
so we're going to keep moving along.
Oh boy. That's just one tool there too, Beth. I bet if we jumped on different tabs, there's other stuff on
bet-
other tabs.
oh, you're
Am I
right.
right?
You're so right, because I have not.
That's just wall wisher. Oh, look at that. People are sharing.
Ooh, lots of ideas. Awesome. Okay, cool. I keep losing my presentation. I know it's here somewhere.
We jumped ahead. We did Blabberize. We did Tar Heel Reader. So now, let's just go to whatever's next.
Screen
Screen
chomp.
Beth, it is, we should have had some, it's almost 11 o'clock,
It's almost 11 o'clock.
and this ends at 11:30, right? So we have a whole half hour.
Oh, cool.
Cool, right? Okay, so Screen Chomp is,
11:15.
Oh,
All
then
right,
we've
so
got
we're
15
actually,
minutes.
we're right on time. Yeah.
Fantastic. I thought
I
we were,
was going to say, we've never been ahead
I know,
like
it's
that.
never been. Screen Chomp is not exactly Web 2.0. Why? It's an app, right? We felt like we needed to throw in an app somewhere in
Is
here.
it PAD
because,
2.0?
What's that?
Is it PAD 2.0?
PAD 2.0?
Is it I 2.0? I don't
There was
know what
never
we
a
call
PAD
it.
1.0. It's so what Screen Chomp does, and there's some other options here. Sketch is another iOS app. Screen Chomp is an iOS app. Both Screen Chomp and Sketch are free.
Show Me is another one also.
Show Me's one is it does what we talked about with print screen, sort of. Print screen is a very, hitting the print screen key captures what we talked about earlier. Screencast-O-Matic is a Web 2.0 tool that allows you to make short, 5-minute or less screen capture videos. So Screencast-O-Matic, and then Jing it is by the same company, TechSmith, and I put the little flyers around your computers. Jing makes TechSmith makes Jing and makes Screen Chomp and makes another tool called Camtasia Studio and another tool. But anyway, Screen Chomp and Jing are, like I said, screen notation app or screen capture tool. It's all about capturing your work. That's what we want to show you. Okay, and so I am going to, because this is an app. Do you mind that we should look at an app even though we talked about 2.0? We felt like a number of years ago, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had, I was curious about how prolific or how often there would be mobile devices in classrooms. Like you'd hear, oh my gosh, these great apps. I'm like, that's awesome, but we don't have them in our classrooms. But now they are becoming more and more prevalent. True or false? True, you're finding that. So this will be useful for you because you're using mobile devices in your classrooms? Yes, I'm seeing some head nods. Good. Okay.
Did you have a question, or were you just, somebody was just gesturing?
On the Google Docs, when we were typing in, we're in each other's boxes.
Uh-huh.
And it'll sometimes get rid of one, and then the other one shows up. Like all of a sudden, my stuff took somebody else's stuff out.
So there's sometimes when you're doing that collaborative work, you can edit. It'll usually tell you that somebody else is editing.
Right. There should be
in it.
colored. It should be colored.
This happened almost at the same time.
So it may be that when you're doing it exactly at the same time.
Pick the same box and start typing, and then it starts trying to predict what, typing what the other person's typing, and all of a sudden you wipe out somebody else's stuff. Well, I did that to somebody too.
Well, I haven't. So what I've seen is, like I said, you click on the cell, it should be highlighted. So we probably should have said that. Look and see if someone is already in that cell, like if it's already highlighted, because you might be tricky. Like, oh, you think you're in there. Like, am I the purple person, or am I the one that's highlighted in purple, or am I? So that's still a glitch. Okay, so here's Screen Chomp, and I can just draw on it, right? It can be a simple drawing app. 4 + 4 = 9, right? When I got that right. And then
And since this is hands-on, if somebody else, I'll be willing to pass around my iPad if people
I can
wanna
erase it.
play with it a little bit.
So it's just like a drawing thing, right? That's no great shakes. But one option you also have is to pick a picture. So I'm going to choose a picture from the library. So here's all look at my daughter and I making faces at each other. But I'm going to show you this. Notice, see how there's like 3 panels there? There's a top, a middle, and a bottom. I can actually scroll up and down, right? Like it's one big piece of paper. And I hit done. And there's this picture. Dragonfly, dragonfly, show us the way. Remember how I mentioned before the camera started rolling that my wife and I write children's stories? One of them was actually produced as an ebook, and it's called Dragonfly, Dragonfly, Show Us the Way. Anyway, here's a picture of us, of this picture. And so let's say I was doing an activity where I'd say, show me all the animals in this. A student would hit the record button, and they pick their highlighter, and they'd say, oh, I spotted the dragonfly. And see how it's recording up there in the top right-hand corner? It's actually recording a short little video. There's the buffalo, and there's the ferret. Hit stop. And they pick their highlighter, and they'd say, oh, and now it's doing this little processing thing. We watch it. Right? Yeah, okay, I'm happy with it. When I'm done with it, I press down there where it says the question mark and the little green monster next to the big Facebook sign. And it sends it up to TechSmith's cloud. Shorter the video, the faster it goes. And then up here, where there's the 3 little, see how the guy's looking around? See the 3 little, press up there. There, it's loading. And now it has loaded, and now I can watch that video. Okay, so there's the video that I can watch. Pick their highlighter, and they'd say, oh, I spotted the dragonfly. And see how it's so now I'm watching this on the web, essentially. I can share it, and I can just copy the link, and I can send that off in an email or whatever, right? Get out. Right. Cool?
So you can actually email that?
Mm-hmm.
Small enough.
Email the link, and it'll bring up my email, and I can send that off to my wife or whoever.
And I guess it just would depend on the limitations of your particular email.
It sends.
It'd be a great way to share with parents.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just sending you the link. It's not sending you the file. Yes,
Right.
it's sending you the link.
Because usually the videos are too long or too...
Because
Right.
it's up in
It's in the-
TechSmith's cloud, it'll just be a hyperlink. They click it and they
Yeah.
watch it. The way we've seen students use it is problems. You know, here's this math problem. I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm going to record the problems I'm having with it. I'm going to email that off to my teacher or email it off to my friend and say, I'm stuck on number 4. What am I doing wrong here? I keep doing, you know what I mean?
For another math example would be if you had a group of students together working on this problem, you were projecting it or you're passing your iPad around, and they were brainstorming the steps to do it. You figured out the steps to do this problem, you save this, and then you upload it and send the link out so that as students are doing their homework, they have something to refer back to remind them of the strategies that they used in order to solve that problem. So again, we are getting that transference for students from what they did in the classroom to what they might have to do outside of the classroom. That would have been a good picture to use to Blabberrise.
See how much fun you can have? Oh, you guys are still here? Sorry. But, right? I mean, and it's recording of the videos that is a really powerful part of this app.
But you can use it without, they can just work on, students can annotate something. You could take text that's up there. It's not going to put in text as text. It's going to put in text as an image. But if I had a worksheet, if I had a paper, if I had something that was scanned or that I captured, I could have that in there, and I could have students be annotating on that text and to be able to use that and then have that saved as data for them. When it's saved as data, because you've recorded it, you're not only saving the end product, but you're also saving the process that they did it. So that if you're examining a student's work and looking for how did they come to that, you're going to get to see the whole process, the strategies that they used, so that you can see where a student is coming from, not just what they've done, which I think is very powerful data as an educator.
Good stuff? Okay. What we've shown you here is just the tip of the iceberg, hence the picture. There are so many more different Web 2.0 tools to explore. This tomorrow morning, same time, same place, we're going to be doing part 2 of this. So if you enjoyed what you got here and you would like to do some more, we'll be here and we'll be showing you some different tools. But if you want to play on your own, here are 2 good resources to find about UDL and Web 2.0 tools, and then this one more just UDL. Right? Top 2 are more Web 2.0 tools. Right?
And then we need to look and see our...
Here is, in case you can't make it tomorrow, here's the QR code and the URL for tomorrow's session. Right? So they're linked in there. Again, if you've got the link to the first session, you have this already. Can I skip something? Oh yeah, homework. How can I forget? Homework. So we want to make learning about UDL, you heard me at the beginning, talk about how we're preaching to the choir here, a group of special ed teachers, and really it's general education teachers that need to know more about this, and administrators for general education. We need you to evangelize, right? So one part of this is, we don't have time to play it today, is UDL Jeopardy. Made this Jeopardy, it's just like it's a website, it's a Jeopardy template with different questions relating to universal design for learning. So tonight when you go home or tomorrow, come back here and play Jeopardy. And you can play by yourself or play with a friend. Do it as a staff development thing where we're going to play Jeopardy and answer the questions and see who wins. But it might be an engaging way to start spreading the word about universal design for learning. And Beth, while you find out who the winners are, I will talk about the strategy day calendar.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm going to, should I be transparent and let everybody see?
Sure.
Okay.
The strategy day calendar. Who did not get one? That's one of the tricks. Everyone gets one. So, did you get one? Huh?
I'm going to totally have to be.
Oh, was that Beth?
If I had my, oh, there we go. I was going to say I'm going to make.
Okay, Beth is going to do some counting. I'm going to type of the strategy day calendar. Have you seen these before? Anyone got one before? Okay, so like I said, we do professional development for our district on assistive technology. And the way, just kind of as a funny story, the way we came to learn about universal design for learning is that 10 years ago, when we first started doing assistive technology services as a team in our district, we'd go out and we'd meet with students in special education and we'd show them different tools and we'd say, oh, the strategy that you just showed me, which show a student or a teacher, that's really good for every student. That's not just good for Johnny, that's good for every student in my class. Yes, exactly. And so we came at it from that approach. And then we heard about universal design for learning and we marry those two concepts together. It's the same, right? So, and one of the strategies, one of the problems we have in our district is, every district, right, is professional development. I already mentioned how teachers can't stay after, or they can, but it's hard, it's always difficult. So we have this whole philosophy is we want to provide people with as many different professional development opportunities as possible. One of them is the podcast that I mentioned earlier, the AT Tips Cast, burn it to CDs, and you can send those out to teachers. And on the attipscast.com website, I have all these question booklets that you can download for free as PDFs. It's all, I'm not trying to sell you anything, it's just there for free. And then people burn those to CDs and they pass them out to their teachers, and it's not the best professional development. It's not engaging where you're collaborative, but it's awareness level, right? So yes, I listen to NPR in the morning driving in. Maybe on the back I'm going to listen to some technology strategies, because it's kind of the same thing in the afternoon. I heard it already in the morning, right? Yeah, so except on Science Friday.
Oh, I said no, that would be what I was relating.
Oh, if you're relating it to? Okay, so that's one strategy we use. We take a lot of videos. Beth and I both live in very rural areas. So for Beth in particular, her high-speed internet access is not always great. So that's a lot of our school district. I don't know, is that an issue for you where some teachers don't have access to high-speed internet? Or That is an issue, right? We still do not have the infrastructure where everyone has high-speed internet access at home. So here we are recording video. But we know there are teachers that cannot watch this video from home. They'd have to stay late at school to do that. So what we've been doing in our district is taking those and burning them to DVDs and giving them out to teachers. Again, I mentioned that earlier. Let's say Ryan here knows about podcasting, wants to listen to podcasts. Good for him. He's going to do it. He's going to listen to the AT Tips cast. He's going to get some technology strategies that he could use tomorrow, and he won't get a lick of professional development credit for doing that, even though he's doing it. He's spending his time doing it. Same teacher who comes to a workshop, and I stand here and tell you those same strategies that I recorded, they get professional development credit. Why? What's the difference? Ryan's doing it in his car, and he's using his time wisely. But right? I mean, there's a disconnect there. Why can't we give professional development points for that reason? Our district does by answering those question booklets. My whole point, as I get to the calendar, is that our professional development is trying to be as many different modalities as possible. So it's not just sit and get, and it's not just online. It's all of that. It's online. It's still coming to workshops. It's doing a strategy a day calendar. It's listening to podcasts. It's watching videos on DVD. Right? It's all those options. See the? For the adult learner. Exactly. So one strategy we came up with is a strategy a day calendar. I work on a team of 10, well, there's 12 or 13 now. I can't even keep up how many people there are on our team. But we all just say, okay, I'm going to do strategies on Microsoft Word. I'm going to do PowerPoint. You know what a problem we're having? We're having difficulty with writing. Let's do some writing strategies. Speech therapists. Okay, give me 10 strategies, 20 strategies on I really wish people knew what core vocabulary was. I really wish people knew whatever. And we put them all here into, we use PowerPoint on our team, but you could very, very easily, because we have a team of, like I said, a number of people working on this project, you could very easily do that in a Google presentation if you didn't, right? You give out this hyperlink and everyone adds, Ryan, you got 5 strategies you use? You could come up with 5 strategies, right? Put it here, and you could build your own calendars. And that's why we like to there are other people that have heard about our calendars and they're doing it. The state of Iowa does it. There's different school districts that are doing it. It's just exciting because some people will look at this and say, yeah, we could do that. I could get 5 strategies from this person and 5 strategies from this person, throw them all up in a Google presentation like this, and then print them out, just like Ryan. Sorry, I keep picking on you, Ryan. Just like Ryan was saying with the social situation stories, how you print them out in book format. That's all we did, right? So this is every day. There's a new strategy. We like to think it's like the surprise. Oh, what's the next strategy of the day going to be? Oh, this one's on fractions and story problems. Or what's your birthday? June 3rd. All right, June 3rd. We're still in school, I think. May, June.
We are now.
So June 3rd, let's see the strategy there in June 3rd is I see what you think. It's a graphic organizer, right? And it's a Foursquare, right? So here's a perfect example. We would do this for a number of years, right? We've been doing these calendars for a number of years, giving them out. And a teacher would look at this and say, oh, that's exactly what I need. Look at that template. You used that, you made that template in what, Microsoft Word? Chris, can you send me that template? And I'd say, yes, I can, because we used it to make the calendar, and I'd send it off to that teacher, and I'd solve that problem for that one teacher. But how many other teachers didn't think to email Chris for that, but could have also used it? So we then took all of these, every single day now, has something called additional content link. And at the top is a bit.ly and a QR code that takes you to a website that has additional content. Sometimes it's a template that we've made. Sometimes it's a link to a podcast. Sometimes it's a video. Sometimes it's all of those things. So it's your second, like, oh, I wonder what's at the link. We click there. Oh, let me see. Oh, there's a video. And so we tend to get lots of teachers. We've decreased the number of emails we get and increased the number of people going to our website looking for these resources. And so this is all stuff that you could do, you could replicate, and you could use in your own. Yeah, right? Yes, you could do this. You get 5 strategies from people, right?
And this is one of the tools that we're going to support people in creating, probably not from start to finish, but gets them with at our pre-conference session at ATIA in Orlando. So again, if you like what you're hearing here about about the tools, how to use them, how to planfully use them and train and support staff on it, we would love to see you guys back at our session. It's a 2-day pre-conference at the end of January, the last week of January at ATIA. And I'm sure Orlando in January, I mean, as lovely as Indianapolis is, which I'm like not joking at all, it's lovely, and this like hotel is so awesome that I'm sure it would be like way better to be in Orlando in January because, you know, snow and all of that.
It's going to be better.
It's got to be better. So we really hope that some of you guys will be out at
I'm from Buffalo,
ATIA.
so anywhere is better.
So
who wins, Beth? Who wins?
Okay, so we have some interesting data here. Lori was our top contributor. So Lori, you can choose from either a full version of Camtasia Studio, which is a high-end, or we have a 1-year premium educator premium license for Glogster. So you get your pick of which one of these you prefer to have.
Camtasia.
Okay.
Now, before you get it, Lori, you've used it before. What does it do?
It's basically a screen capture where you
Can't
can
give
make
this away
videos
yet.
of your screen, but it's more high-end and can do more things.
It has one feature that I particularly love that no other, that I know of, no other screen capture tool has. And it is, you know what?
I don't know if I know it. Oh, captioning.
It has the ability to do closed captioning. So there are other tools that I'm sure will do closed captioning, but this is the one that I've used the most frequently. It's very easy to do. If you have it, you can type up your script and you just put it in and just, it's very cool.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for TechSmith. We just wrote them and said, hey, we're going to be showing Screen Chomp, and they sent us the t-shirts and a full version of Camtasia Studio. I did not expect that.
So our second place is Krista. So we have a 1-year premium version of Glogster for you, which has some really cool teacher features. Then we had, so interestingly, we had a
9-way tie.
No, we didn't have a 9-way tie, guys. I'm sorry. We had a 1, 2, 3-way tie between Diane, Ryan, and Beth. Is there a Beth in the room? Somebody wasn't just writing down my, okay, and Beth. So I only have one more of these, but I think that the people at Glogster are like really nice, awesome people, and if I write my friend there, that she will give me 2 more of these licenses. So each of you guys get that. And then for our runner-up, because we had Dawn, who also contributed, we have a t-shirt for Dawn. So let me go ahead and give this to, whoever of Diane, Ryan, and Beth. And then if the other 2 of you could please email me, posbeth@gmail.com, and I will send you the link to be able to do this, because I know that if I email my friends there and say, we had a tie.
Here's our contact information. Please do not hesitate to write Beth a bunch of times, sign her up for a bunch of things. No, you can email either, I'm just kidding. Email either of us at any time with questions you have. Here's the link to my Twitter and Beth's Twitter. Here's the AT Tips cast that I was mentioning. Here's the book that I happen to co-write called The Practical and Fun Guide to Assistive Technology. And then here's the app, ATEval2Go, that I also got to author. Which
never sleeps.
To never sleep, which helps people do assistive technology evaluations.
And we hope we see you guys tomorrow, and we hope we see some of you guys in Orlando in a couple of months.
Thank you for being such good contributors, and feel free to share any of these resources.